Over 30 queen mattresses for less than $799.
Good morning, America. Breaking news found alive. Jamie Kloss, the 13-year-old who vanished months ago when her parents were found murdered in their Wisconsin home, rescued overnight. The stranger who helped save her, and the suspect now in custody. We're speaking to her family this morning. All the latest right now.
Also this morning, shutdown showdown. President Trump threatens to declare a national emergency to pay for his wall.
The law is 100% on my side.
Money that could be diverted from disaster relief. This as hundreds of thousands of workers missed their paychecks for the first time this morning. And now new outrage after the government tells them have a garage sale or walk pets to make ends meet.
Also breaking this morning, a new report: the U.S. military has begun withdrawing troops from Syria. The new details just coming in.
Winter storm warning. 40 million Americans from Colorado to New York now bracing for snow and a major cold blast. Ginger with a new track as we head into the weekend.
Singer R. Kelly fighting back. His lawyer right here on GMA responding to those stunning allegations and his new message for Lady Gaga.
And the shocking moment caught on surveillance camera. A baby running along a freeway, barefoot and alone. The quick-thinking bus driver who saved her. What really happened, and the reunion now with the baby's grateful father.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
And good morning, America. I hope you're well this Friday morning.
Yes, we do. And we want to get right to that great breaking news. The Wisconsin teen, Jamie Kloss, who's been missing for months, has now been found.
Yeah, she disappeared back in October when her parents were murdered. Family and friends and authorities have been desperately searching for her ever since. And overnight, she was rescued. Let's go right to Alex Perez there in Wisconsin. Alex, they've got a suspect in custody.
Hey, good morning, Cecilia. This is the moment Jamie's family has been hoping and praying for. She is safe and sound, and authorities are now working to figure out what exactly she has endured the last few months. This morning, a family's prayers answered. A 13-year-old Jamie Kloss found alive. She vanished 3 months ago after her parents were killed. The teen, located in Douglas County, Wisconsin, nearly 70 miles away from where she was last seen in Barron. According to ABC affiliate KSTP, Kloss ran up to a woman walking her dog, screaming for help, saying she had been abducted and that her captor murdered her parents. That Good Samaritan then running to a neighbor's home for help. Those neighbors telling the Minneapolis Star-Tribune that Jamie was skinny with matted hair and wearing shoes too big for her feet. The couple offering her food and water and introducing her to their puppy while they waited for police. Her family telling ABC News she was taken to a hospital overnight. Her emotional grandfather speaking with KSTP shortly after learning Jamie was found alive.
What's your reaction, sir?
My reaction? Wow. I never been so happy for 3 months.
It was October 15th, police responding to a 911 call from the Kloss home around 1 a.m.
Did it sound like somebody needed help? Did it sound like there was danger? What made the red flags go off?
There was some kind of a commotion on that tape, and so we went and responded as we normally do to any 911 call, and that's when we discovered 2 deceased people when we arrived on scene.
The commotion they heard on the call led police to believe Jamie was home. Authorities responded within 4 minutes, and Jamie was gone. Inside, the door kicked down. No weapon on the scene, but Jamie's parents, Denise and James, brutally murdered.
Well, let's see what we can find.
Police worked around the clock, following thousands of tips from across the country. Local, state, and federal officials scoured the area for months. Hundreds of community volunteers joining the effort in hopes of getting one step closer to finding Jamie. This morning, police say they have a suspect in custody as Jamie is set to reunite with her family. And at this point, authorities have not released many details about that suspect, but we are expecting to learn more very soon. Investigators plan an update on this case later this morning. Cecilia?
Okay, Alex, thank you. And Jamie's aunt and godmother, Jen Smith, joins us now by phone from Barron, Wisconsin. Miss Smith, thank you so much for being here this morning. We can't say how happy we are enough that Jamie is safe. What can you tell us about how she's doing this morning?
I haven't got to see her yet, but I get to see her this afternoon, and I hear she is doing great, and she's getting rest right now.
Oh, that makes us so happy. Can you walk us through that moment that you found out that Jamie is safe?
Oh, I just cried in lots of happy tears, and I just wanted to scream very loudly.
How did you find out?
The sheriff came to my house and an investigator.
And can you share us share with us any details about what they told you about what these past few months have been like for her?
He said that she is safe. They have her at a hospital, and they're getting her checked out, and they have a suspect in custody, and that's all I know so far.
That's all you know, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions. You and the entire family and the community have a lot of questions. What more do you know about when she's going to be reunited with you guys?
She will be reunited with me this afternoon. I will get to see her later today. Afternoon sometime.
And do you have any more details about how she was found?
That's all I know is that she escaped from where she was being held, and she saw a lady walking the dog, and she ran to the lady yelling for help, and the lady helped her, and they went to a nearby neighbor's house, and she had large shoes on that were too big on her, and she was pretty dirty and her hair was matted, and they offered her food and water, but she declined, and then they called. Of course, when they got there, they called 911 right away, and somebody responded right away.
And authorities haven't been able to give you many more details about her experience?
No, I haven't had any of that yet. I will get all them details this afternoon when I meet with the FBI agents.
But you say you found out that she is doing well and her condition is could be as good as could be expected.
Yes. Yep.
What's the first thing?
Yep.
She's talking. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You say she's talking.
And and she's talking. Yep, and she's doing very well. They said.
What's the first thing you're going to say to Jamie when you get to speak to her for the first time?
I'm going to give her the biggest hug and just tell her that I'm here for her and I love her very much.
And we know that that whole community, thousands of people were out there searching and trying to find her over these past few months. Anything you want to say to the community this morning?
Oh, I do. I thank the community for not giving up hope and for helping us and for continuing prayers and helping us get this girl home and for all the posters and everything for awareness out there. It helped because this lady that was walking her dog, she said she knew who Jamie was right away from posters she saw.
And no one gave up hope. Ms. Smith, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we are so happy for this ending that Jamie is home safe. What an amazing story.
Yeah, a tragic story, but as good of an ending as you could ever hope for.
And it's going to be a great reunion this afternoon.
We're going to move on now to Washington. And day 21 of the government shutdown, now sure to be the longest in history. Federal paychecks set for today will not be going out as President Trump signals he may be ready to declare a national emergency to get his border wall. I want to go to our chief White House correspondent, John Carlin. John, one idea the White House is looking at, diverting money from disaster relief to pay for the wall?
A very controversial one at that, George. But today is supposed to be payday for hundreds of thousands of federal workers who now will be going without any pay whatsoever as we enter day 21 of the government shutdown with no obvious end in sight. President Trump, surrounded by border officials, told Sean Hannity he is so determined to build a border wall.
Death is pouring through.
He is willing to go around Congress and declare a national emergency to get the funds to build it.
If we don't make a deal with Congress, most likely I will do that. I would actually say I would. I can't imagine any reason why not, because I'm allowed to do it. The law is 100% on my side.
Sources tell ABC News the White House is laying groundwork to use funds allocated to the Army Corps of Engineers, potentially diverting funds meant for disaster relief projects in California, Florida, Texas, Puerto Rico, and other states. Democrats are already preparing legal challenges.
It's bad enough that he's preventing 800,000 people from getting their paychecks tomorrow. Now he wants to take money from victims of disasters.
While visiting the border, President Trump also seemed to totally reinvent one of the central promises of his campaign.
Who's going to pay for the wall? 100%. When I say Mexico's going to pay for the wall, do you think they're going to write a check for $20 billion or $10 billion or $5 billion or 2 cents? No, they're paying for the wall in a great trade deal.
In fact, his campaign website did describe a scenario where Mexico would make a one-time payment of $5 to $10 billion to build the wall. In a promotional video put out by the White House overnight, the president said his wall will get built, even though negotiations with Congress are going nowhere. This shutdown ties a record today, and by tomorrow, George, will be the longest shutdown in American history.
And John, it's not just Democrats warning the president against declaring this emergency.
George, you have prominent conservatives who see this as an abuse of power, who see it as setting a bad precedent that could then be used by a future Democratic president. For instance, Senator Marco Rubio has warned that a future Democratic president could declare a national emergency to deal with climate change, and there's even opposition among the president's top advisors to this idea.
Okay, John Carl, thanks very much.
And this shutdown, you guys, is having a real-life impact on those 800,000 federal employees who are going unpaid, looking at missed paychecks for who knows how long. And this week, the Coast Guard, they put out a 5-page survival guide, managing your finances during a furlough. It was with the intent of helping its workers make ends meet. And here's some of the tips that were included. Have a garage sale, babysitting, walking pets, house sitting, or becoming a mystery shopper. Well, that tip sheet obviously was very poorly received. It has since been taken off the Coast Guard's website, and the Coast Guard said the document does not reflect the Coast Guard's current efforts to support its workforce during the shutdown. Well, we had a chance to speak with some federal workers who told us about what they're facing and now how they are trying to cope.
Where do I get the money to put gas in my car? Where do I get the money to buy groceries or pay for car insurance?
With an upcoming missed paycheck, we will be missing payments on our bills. We've had to resort to selling items around our house.
It's a smack in the face. I'm really, really tired of feeling like a bargaining chip for a fight that's not mine.
You know, it's so important to remember that these are real people we are talking about with their livelihoods on the line. When President Trump was asked about the plight of those workers, he shifted focus and said he felt badly for the families of people who'd been killed by undocumented immigrants. But for the latest on these stalled talks, now let's bring in our senior congressional correspondent, Mary Bruce, on Capitol Hill. Mary, you've been working your sources all week long. What are you hearing? Is there any way lawmakers might still reach a deal?
Well, Cecilia, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle this morning tell me they see no path forward here. Look, any hope for a compromise deal here fell apart yesterday after the White House threw cold water on the idea of doing a broader deal. The mood here now on the Hill is positively exasperated. Lawmakers are frustrated and dejected and now bracing for the president to declare possibly that national emergency. Even his top allies, like Senator Lindsey Graham, who was trying to negotiate this compromise, is now essentially throwing his hands up and telling the president to just do it. But Cecilia, even he has reservations. Look, the idea of a national emergency is not popular among Republicans. They're not crazy about this idea. Some have even expressed outright opposition to it because they know that this move is almost certain to be challenged by Democrats and the courts.
Yeah, a lot of frustration to go around. We mentioned those workers earlier. They're not getting paid today, but the pain doesn't just end with them.
Yeah, the impacts of this stretch far beyond those workers who are just missing their paychecks today. Take a look at some of these things we're keeping a close eye on. One area of concern is food safety. Routine inspections have now been suspended by the FDA, while at the housing department, more than 1,000 contracts for subsidized housing have expired. That means many landlords simply aren't getting paid, but the department does say that there have been no evictions just yet. Well, at the airport, Cecilia, with some agents calling out, some of the security personnel calling out because they aren't getting paid, Miami International is reportedly planning to cut off access to one of its terminals this weekend. So a lot of broader consequences here, Cecilia.
Yeah, Mary. Okay, thank you. People starting to see this all around the country.
Yeah, and if and when this is solved, the federal workers may get back pay, but there's no guarantee of that at all. We're going to move on now to the breaking news overseas. A new report that the U.S. military has begun withdrawing troops from Syria. Our chief global affairs anchor Martha Raddatz tracking this developing story. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, George. This morning, reports of a convoy of 10 armored vehicles leaving northeastern Syria and heading into Iraq. A U.S. official confirming that equipment is now being pulled out of Syria, but he would provide no information on when this pullout would be complete. It was 3 weeks ago that President Trump, in a surprise announcement, said the 2,000 American troops in Syria would be leaving and declaring ISIS was all but defeated. U.S. officials saying the withdrawal would occur within 30 days. That prompted the resignation of Defense Secretary Jim Mattis. U.S. officials later walked back that 30-day timeline, saying it could take several months. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo saying from Cairo that a withdrawal does not change the mission of completely dismantling ISIS. How that will work going forward is unclear, but there are fears that Russia and Iran will fill the vacuum the U.S. leaves behind. George?
Yeah, and there are a lot of mixed signals there. Okay, Martha, thanks very much. We're going to stay in Washington for what's shaping up to be a blockbuster hearing next month. Michael Cohen, the president's former lawyer, has agreed to testify in public before Congress. He's facing a prison sentence for his role in providing hush money payments to a porn star and playmate who claimed affairs with Donald Trump, payments he said were directed by the president. Cohen is now promising to give a full and credible account of his years with Trump despite previous lies. When we spoke after his sentencing, I asked why people should believe him now.
Because the special counsel stated emphatically that the information that I gave to them was credible and helpful. There's a substantial amount of information that they possess that corroborates the fact that I am telling the truth.
So you're done with the lying?
I am done with the lying. I am done being loyal to President Trump. And my first loyalty belongs to my wife, my daughter, my son, and this country.
He is eager to tell the full story. The president says he's not concerned about that at all. But Cohen will not be able to answer all the questions about the Mueller investigation while it continues.
It's going to be must-see.
And definitely must-see. And thank you on that, George. And now to the investigation that's underway into that cruise ship outbreak. Hundreds of passengers were sickened. And ABC's Victor Oquendo has the latest.
This morning, the outbreak on the Oasis of the Seas cruise ship. Hundreds of people falling ill on board. The cruise cut short, now on its way back to port early. Royal Caribbean telling ABC News 277 passengers and crew members suffered an episode of gastrointestinal illness. Now the CDC is investigating. Tori O'Brien and her father both getting sick.
Around 2 o'clock, I woke up just really not feeling well at all, just kind of having some issues, like very upset stomach, nauseated. I was just concerned for my dad's health because I know he doesn't typically get sick a lot.
The Oasis of the Seas is one of the biggest ships in the world. On Sunday, the Oasis left Port Canaveral with nearly 9,000 people on board, bound for a 7-day cruise through the Caribbean. By Tuesday, when the ship was approaching Jamaica, guests and crew started coming down with symptoms like nausea. Jamaican officials say their doctors went on board to help. Now the crew is constantly sanitizing common areas on the massive ship.
Basically anything where anybody would put their hands there is constantly a crew behind to come and wipe things down.
This letter sent to all staterooms letting passengers know what happened, urging everyone to wash their hands. Now this nightmare cruise to the Caribbean is almost over. The Oasis of the Seas will be back in Florida tomorrow. All passengers will be receiving a full refund. Guys?
Okay, Victor, thank you. Let's head over to Ginger now. You're tracking that new storm moving from Colorado to the east.
Yes, rain has just changed to snow in Denver. And look at Cleveland, Ohio. Slide-offs because of that lake effect snow. It was 12 to 15 inches in western New York, so it even took out a plow there. But this is the new storm. So we've got advisories all the way from Colorado to Virginia. I'll have to give you details later. Your local weather in 30 seconds. First, though, the weekend getaway sponsored by Tide Pods.
Hey, buddy, we'd love some help with laundry. Here's how you do it. Spray and scrub anything with a stain. Soak your nasty jersey, it stinks. Wash the really dirty clothes separately. Remember, hard work builds character.
New Tide Pods with upgraded 4-in-1 technology unleash a foolproof clean in one step.
Aw, you did the laundry.
But you didn't fold it.
Oh, that wasn't in the note. You should have sent a text.
For a powerful clean in one step, it's got to be Tide.
Temperatures today starting out in the 20s again, hitting highs that'll be in the upper 30s, breezy and wind chilled. Once again, it's going to feel like we're in the 20s. Still forecasting that snow developing noon to 3 o'clock on Saturday and continuing through Sunday on and off. 60% chance that everyone gets 1 to 4 inches, 4 to 6 inches. There's a 30% chance possible. Higher amounts around Quantico, Fredericksburg, Leonardtown, and Culpeper. And then we could even see some delays, maybe even some cancellations going into Monday, early part of next week.
Up our new interview with R. Kelly's lawyer, and now his daughter is speaking out.